No, I thank you for sharing that because as it's
Thank you
actually
very
very
much.
near and dear to my heart. Um,
I
because
thought it
I'm
would
going to
be.
come at it from a slightly different angle, but cognitive decline
Mm,
is for me is a personal fear. Okay, I've witnessed losing a loved one to Alzheimer's, and I was a child when this happened, but it's like losing a family member more than once. I used to say twice, but it's more than twice. Sometimes it's almost it's cruel. I would say that it is cruel because you lose the person in front of you, and yet you must still deal with the person in front of you. And then because the brain is all electrical signals and so forth, and they can't figure out what's going on because cognitive decline happens in so many different ways. And so you've lost this person who's dear to you, and yet every once in a while, this is the cruelty of it. The light comes back on, and they're back with you for a day, for a minute. You don't know. And then you have to lose them all over again. So that is the human side of it. And that honestly I can say it's the only time in my entire life I've seen my father cry. Only time. Now my kids have seen me cry quite a bit because I'm overly emotional. But it's tough. It's tough. It's tough when your grandmother looks at you and is talking to you as though you're your father and doesn't know your father. It's tough. Now, from the other side, because I don't want to stay on that side because then, I get emotional again. But on the other side of this is why sometimes, and the Medicare for all thing, like I'm all about universal health care. I know some people say it's a distinction without difference, but to me, it is a huge difference. But anyway, either one of those, universal health care or health care for all, I fully support because this is what people miss in part of what people miss in the discussion when they talk about um, was it reforming Social Security? That's the nice, pleasant words that they use. But Social Security is how a lot of people, working class families and lower class families, this is how they can afford for grandma or grandpa, mom or dad to go into assisted living or into a residency place. And these places are not always great now. Okay. The ones that you're going to get because of Medicare or because of Social Security,
uh-huh.
they're overloaded, understaffed, underpaid. It's not a great place. Okay. But
And they're
at least
contracted to
there are,
take a certain amount of patients. So, it's an
right,
obligation. It's not that they are saying, I will take you, come here, I will take care of
right.
you.
So, but it still it feeds to the other part that Anna was saying. I'm going to get back to it about how if you're overwhelmed, that's still better than you abusing them. Okay, um, you just need to be present. If you're going to put your family member into one of these facilities, you have to be present because you're putting them there because they are not cognitively able to handle their affairs. If not, you would not put them there. So then you, because you do have control of your faculties, you need to be present. You're just not there for the care, but you must be there for the advocacy and the protection, right? It's just like a daycare. Wherever you put a child in daycare, the children who get treated the best are the ones whose parents show up randomly. It's the ones whose parents ask questions. It's,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
it's important. I'm speaking to you as the caregivers if you are the family member and it's gotten to the point where you cannot do this yourself. Um, Traditionally, especially in the black community, I can't speak for other communities, but I believe this is more socioeconomic than it is cultural. Uh, we had the back room,
Important.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You had
Yep.
that room in the back
Mm-hmm.
where the person who was dealing with whatever the mental issue or whatever issue it was, they were in the back room. and it was one person in the family that usually was the great aunt or the matriarch who took care of that person because that was their son, their daughter, or their mother, right? So
Yeah.
that was traditionally how it was done. I'm not begrudging that because they didn't have options. Okay. But what I'm saying is at least do that, right? If you're gonna
Right.
be there, be there. Now, Anna was saying she's trying not to judge because there's a path that you had to walk to get to the point where you disassociated to where you basically emotionally broke. And that's why you're dumping your family member. Um, I'm saying before you get to that point,
Ask
please
for
reach
help.
out for some sort of help.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of communities where you may not find the help. Okay, but most communities there's something. Okay, so even if there's nothing more than if you live near certain family members and they're just a decent family member, have them watch your loved one for 2 hours every Tuesday.
Yep.
Just that. So you can shut it off, be away, and come back. You can't stay in it all the time. I'm telling you, I know I haven't had to personally do it, but I've had a lot of friends who have, and I'm telling you, you have to take care of yourself too. You
Yeah.
can't have their life become your life because if you do, you're going to end up begrudging them, and then you'll resent them, and then you'll hate them, and then you don't know what you'll do to them, right? The person who will dump their grandmother or dump their mother is not the same it's the same physical person, but it's not the same person that originally was taking care of that loved one, right?
Right.
There's a path you walk down. It gets darker and darker and heavier and heavier. Now, flipping it again to the caregivers. I love that you pointed this out, Anna, because this is something that I'm actually working on. I'm not going to go into it here because it's another one of my major projects. But generally speaking, your home health care provider, okay, at the lowest level, those are your CNA, your certified nursing assistants,
Yep.
right? A lot of times, these are people who barely finished high school, didn't finish high school, they were vocational for some reason,
Yep.
they come from poor communities. There's so many different reasons why a person ends up in sin. Now, some people go become a CNA because they worked an entire career or tried to work another career, realized it wasn't doing what they needed for themselves and their heart, and then they move into CNA because it's hard to get into nursing school, right?
Right.
You got to have a lot of money and a lot of access to get to nursing school. So CNA is a way to get into it. But the problem is these people are paid, especially if you go to like nursing homes, people are paid between $8 and $12 an hour to do, I forgot the right term, so Anna, please correct me, but it's like basic life function, right? So these are the people who will make sure that you take your medication on time,
Mm-hmm.
but unless they're properly licensed and certified, they can't deliver intravenous medication, but they'll
Right.
make sure you can do your by mouth medication, your FPOs, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who will help you go to the restroom. If you're not physically able to get up and go to the restroom, they're the ones who are going to help you go to the restroom where you are, clean you up like a baby, and
Yep.
get you safe, right? They're the
Yep.
ones that are going to come in, and you could be 300-400 pounds, and they're going to help make sure that you are staying moving some, and you're rotating, and you're lifting and turning, so that your body doesn't settle and create sores and injuries that get even worse, right? And these are people who are doing jobs that you would never want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we're only paying them $12 an hour.
Yeah.
And then because we pay these people so low, they get sent out alone. It'll be
Yeah.
one home health care person coming to help someone. In my opinion, this is my biased opinion, there should always be at least two people dispatched at any given time,
I
right?
agree.
And the reason I thank you, because the reason I say that is because one, team lifts should always be the thing. I don't care if the person weighs 100 pounds. You should go in a team lift situation because this person may be infirm. This person may have chronic pain issues. This person can have so many things. And even though you personally can put your arms around them and lift them, one, you're straining your back, so you're about to hurt yourself.
Yep.
Two, you're putting pressure on the patient in different ways that wouldn't have to happen if there were two of you,
Right.
right? So,
Yep.
but that costs money, so it's hard to get that level of care, right? So it's like I know years ago, I haven't heard it so much because I move in different circles, but people used to laugh and make jokes about CNAs. And I'm like, no,
It's
you need to
proven.
respect the CNA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're the ones that's going to help take care of your mama when you can't, you know? So thank you so much for bringing that up. I mean, I know I was all over the place. I hit on three different levels, but it's important that we look at these things
It's a
because
part of the discussion.
it all works together. And then working in the bank, this is one of the hardest things, and I'm gonna let it go. Working in the bank, you see another side, yet another side. In order for an elder to get into a state funded facility, they have to be destitute. Okay? You can't own nothing. So families who are upper middle class, they can't afford all the trappings very long, right? Because it's expensive, right? We're talking about $100,000 a year to put somebody in
Mm-hmm.
these places. So they can't support that for long, right? So they end up having to put all this stuff into blind trust and irrevocable trust and all kinds of things so that the money gets moved away from the person. So now everything you worked for from the time you were 20 years old to now you're 70 years old, and you have to get rid of all of it. You might not have more than $20,000 to your name. 20,000 sounds like a big number to a lot of people. It's more than I got sitting around right now. But you know what? You got to get rid of that
Gotta get
because 20,000 ain't gonna help you stay in this place,
right.
but it's showing up to keep you out of it. So it's like so much human tragedy on top of tragedy, and it almost all comes down to money. Because as a nation, we could easily decide, you know what? Old people and babies, whatever it takes, we take care of them.
Whatever.
If you want to be picky and you don't want to take care of everybody, then you say, if you're under 15, no, because you're not able to make your own decisions. If you're under 19 and you're over 65, we got you. This is a minimum benefit that we guarantee you will function at. Life gonna get hard after you turn 19.
Mm-hmm.
But but as a nation, we could do that.
We do.
And I'm done. Sorry.
I will be way too emotional talking about this subject, so